Hello, I'm Jerry Lintner, and this is State of the Town. Excuse me, I'm going casual today. By the time I got here with all the windows open, the car said it was 96, and it's very humid. And I personally hold the first selectman responsible for that. So, our first selectman, Lisa Heavner. How are you, Lisa?
I'm good.
What's with this weather?
It's lovely, Jerry.
Yeah, okay, sure. Well, I think it's supposed to maybe be some thunderstorms tonight. So that might help. Could cool down a little bit.
You know, we went so long without any spring or summer, so it's nice to have a little summer. Temperatures would be great, a little bit lower, but I'm not complaining.
A little bit lower. When I first got in my car, it said it was 106.
That's a little hot.
That's a little high. That's a lot high. Oh, wait, what is that? Without my glasses, I'm seeing a flag, and I'm violet? No, I voted. So what'd you vote on today?
I voted on the budget referendum, Jerry.
And
it was budget referendum day in Simsbury today.
I know that. And are you going to share how you voted?
I voted for the budgets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to vote for it, too. But what choice do we have?
You always have a choice because, you know, the budgets are prepared by the different boards, and at the end of the day, they become the people's budget or not based on the vote.
But in this one, there's that whole uncertainty clause in there.
There is.
You want to explain that a little? Just so people know what they did vote for. Because we're all voting for it, right? Sure.
So this year was unusual because the General Assembly did not come up with a budget. And there's a tremendous amount of uncertainty out there. As you know, Governor Malloy has proposed some cost shifts to municipalities in an attempt to close a $5 billion two-year budget for the state. Huge budget gap. And so,
well, but what else can he do?
Well,
tolls. And they didn't even address the tolls. They never got to it before they left.
That's true.
All of these people using our roads, driving through the state, were the greatest shortcut between New York and Boston.
I don't know. I can't explain to you why they didn't look at it, Jerry.
Okay. Well, when you run for state office, I want you to do something about that. Okay, good. So,
but what we had to do this year, what the Board of Finance did, is they added a $2.5 million contingency to the Board of Selectmen budget because there's a $10 million uncertainty out there from what the governor proposed. Now, what the governor proposed, we don't expect to be the final budget approved by the General Assembly. It's such a large swing from what we're used to seeing. Usually there's a little uncertainty, and we can deal with that uncertainty through reserves or the tax collection assumption that the Board of Finance uses. But this is way beyond anything that we can absorb.
So, in trying to read, in one of the papers, I guess, apologized they misprinted something. So we had some friends call, and there was some confusion about what they had read one place and what they had read another place. Tell me what's wrong with my perspective. For the last 3 years, we have not had an increase, right? Wow. I mean, that's cool. So even if there hadn't been this huge thing, you can't do that forever, not when the economy is bouncing up and things start to cost more again. So what you were confronted with is, first of all, kind of a little bit of a catch-up phase. And now you have this huge contingency thing that we're voting on. So how did we end up maintaining our AAA rating? Did we lie to the raters, or they don't know yet about the referendum?
So we did just receive, Simsbury received a AAA rating from S&P Global Ratings, and we're very proud of that. And they recognize the fact that we were willing to be conservative with our budget.
I don't think you can get quadruple A's.
No, it's the highest a municipality can get. And they recognize the problems with the state, but they appreciated the way we were dealing with it in a conservative manner and budgeting cautiously and carefully. You know, but for the $2.5 million in contingency, this year's budget, and it consists of, for the town, it's the town, Board of Ed, debt service, and non-public schools, that would be basically flat. It was a 0.3% overall increase, or about $28,000 difference from last year. So we really came in as frugally as we could.
But I read if the words came through, it'd be like a 15%.
Yeah.
15%.
So we're not planning on that because we do know that the General Assembly is going to come in with something different. We hope better. But there is that $2.5 million contingency as opposed to $10 million. And they're budgeting, they're also planning on less money coming in on the revenue side. So they taken some, I think, appropriate and cautious steps to plan for this uncertainty. But it's very frustrating not to have a budget from the legislature.
But now, less revenue coming in. It seems like we are building like mad.
No,
and people are living in all these new places, aren't
Oh,
they?
yes.
Yeah, so now we have the one, well, I think it just got approved down by the Hartford,
Yeah,
where
the
the Hartford
Silverman
was.
Group, right.
Yeah, and that's going to be mixed use, so it'll be
Yes.
like a little village center down there.
Yeah,
So that's good.
So I don't know if people get my first Selectwoman's report, but in the back,
Who reads that?
I think it's
Well, they all
interesting.
watch this show. Why would they read that?
Well, I do encourage people to get it because I give a summary of where the projects are, and there is a new update on the Silverman project there. So for those who are interested, you can read it, and you get that by hitting the subscribe button on the town website and signing up for town news and announcements.
I think our camera person, Janice Lintner, did that. I think she watches
See
you
what it
like a
looks
hawk.
Well, good. I'm glad. This is what the latest one looks like, so you can get updates on them.
So what was big news in there that we haven't covered already? Nothing. Boring, huh? Sounds boring?
No, I think the AAA rating was a very big deal. There's
Yeah.
information to give public input on the Plan of Conservation and Development, which is the town's planning document that will last for the next 10 years. A super important document because it really lays the groundwork of what we want our town to look like. So it's really important to get feedback on that.
Well,
That's tonight.
I'm wondering what the budget cuts are. Actually, the reason I dressed more casually today, I figured the air conditioning would be off
Yeah.
to save money. But it comes on at what, like 3 or something like that?
I
Or
don't.
do you have it on in the morning?
No, and in fact, in my office, not that much. My staff gets mad at me because I don't like a cold office. So in my office, there's less air conditioning than probably the rest of the town.
I see. Oh, you are so fiscally responsible.
I'm just always cold, so I don't.
Okay, now that reminds me, being fiscally responsible and saving energy, what's this about a solar farm?
So Deepwater Wind has proposed putting in a solar farm off Haskell.
Deepwater Wind. What a poetic name is it? Do I have that right?
It's
Deepwater Wind.
I don't know that they say it quite like that, Jerry, but they are proposing putting in a solar project off Hoskins and County Road. It is actually an interesting project from the perspective that it doesn't involve the town, really, except in a very limited role. This is because of the size of the proposal. They're using a state procedure and going through the Connecticut Siting Council. So our land use boards do not approve it. It doesn't go through local zoning, conservation and wetlands, or planning.
They just...
Yeah. They do go through the Siting Council, and so...
Well, I know they did have a volunteer hearing, even though...
They did.
Yeah, I mean, it was... I don't know. Let's see. One other thing, and I...
Carry in, carry out.
Oh, yes!
Yeah.
This has to do with alcohol, right?
No, sorry.
I thought carry out?
No. So what the Board of Selectmen recently did is we adopted a carry in, carry out policy on trash for our parks.
Carrion? Is this like
Carry-in.
rotten meat?
So it means if whatever you bring in, we ask you to take out. So we're removing trash cans from a lot of our parks, and you think, oh my gosh, what were you thinking doing that, right? But there's actually a logic behind it. When you see a lot of parks that have trash cans in them, they're often overflowing, and you'll see wasps and bees around them, or animals come to rely on that as a food source.
So now the rule is...
If you bring it in, you take it out.
Okay, and don't leave it on the ground.
Don't leave it on the ground. And we ask for our residents' help. And in studies that we've looked at and talking with other towns, when you adopt these policies, the parks are actually cleaner because
Okay.
people don't bring their trash there to. I mean, you've been to a park when it's been overflowing.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
We see people put cigarette butts in the flower boxes on the bridge,
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
and they steal flowers, too.
Speaking of the flower
periodically.
bridge, what's coming up, Jared?
The burgers on the bridge, but that's tomorrow. So by the time people see this, they'll either have been there or they'll have missed it.
But even if they miss it, what's new about the bridge?
What's new about the bridge? It's gorgeous.
There you go.
I do have a little story to share, and maybe it has something to do with if you bring it in, you take it out.
Okay.
There was a wedding there, and Jan and I were doing our duty on deadheading flowers, and this pleasant guy and young woman came up and said, "Oh, we'd like to take a picture or two. It'll only take a few minutes." So I assumed he was going to take a picture of her because he had a camera. They were taking pictures of a wedding. So in the meantime, I had prevented a bunch of people from going on the bridge. So all they're standing there, waiting there, sitting there, and they did a great job. It was not a few minutes. So at one point, the bridesmaids wearing these long, diaphanous white gowns down to the ground, one of the bridesmaids came up and she said, is there a restroom someplace?
Oh.
And I said, well, I think it's only on special occasions where they have porta potties. She looked at me desperate, and I thought, oh, this is probably if you bring it in, take it out.
No, Jerry, we're not going there.
Yeah, we are. So then there's nobody behind this house. There's a lot of poison ivy, though. So
I think we want to stop. Why don't we introduce our guest?
Oh, before we do that, I want to make you squirm.
Okay.
Because we've agreed on what he will address, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And he's addressing the search for a town manager.
Yes.
I can't believe that passed. I'm so disappointed. I should have gone out and staged protest. Now, this is my perspective of it. We now are going to pay a town manager who is distant from us, not a citizen, not one of our...
We don't know that yet.
Well, no, you might hire somebody from here. Okay. So, nevertheless, the possibilities, I think, are you have an employee as opposed to an elected official that's directly in touch with the people. So, we're going to pay that person more than we were paying our first selectman. Oh, that's you, isn't it? Well, okay, so we're going to pay them more. So then I thought, well, so what does the first selectman do? And then I thought, I read, that person gets a stipend of $10,000? Do they do nothing? I mean, even nothing pays more than $10,000. They could go on welfare and get $10,000 a year. So what's a first selectman under the new...
So the first
it's being defined. And then in the budget, didn't they say they were reducing it by 10,000?
No, I think they left it at 10,000. But the role of the first selectman is changing. It's gone from CEO, and it will become, and not yet, it happens at the next term in December. It will become chairman of the board. So similar to what the chairman of the Board of Education or the chairman of planning or chairman of zoning does. So they lead the board in policy discussions and represent the...
Come to order. Okay, vote. And then the town manager, do they get a copy of the notes? The first selectman can only say the board wants you to do this. Can't they just go to the board meeting and listen to... Why don't we have all selectmen? I think it's awful.
Well, whether you like it or not, it's...
I don't like it.
I'm beginning to catch up on that. But it is what the citizens voted for, and so our job right now is to make the best of the situation, whether we like it or not.
No. How many signatures it would take to petition to do a recall on that and vote again?
I don't know, Chair. I don't know.
Could you find that out for me?
Well, I can look into it for you. But
right you're
now,
not going to.
I will. I mean, if you want me to, I'll look into it.
I would like you to look into that, and then we can answer it on next month's show.
But our charge is to be respectful of the voters' preference, and they have requested that.
They didn't know what they were doing. They didn't think about it. A bunch of uninformed.
Jerry, are you going to be nice? Because Mr. Cooke,
I'm being nice to you. Oh, Mr. Cooke, you are being nice.
Right.
Hey, Tom Cooke, come on board.
Now, his job is not to
She just wants to get off the spot, see?
A little bit.
Yeah.
But his job is not to be
Tom,
pro or
good to see
for
you.
the decision that the citizens led to
explain what your guest's job is. And will he still have a job when there's a town manager? And will it still be the same?
No, a lot
Does
of
the
things.
town manager decide who gets to have a job and who doesn't?
Yeah, they will be making recommendations ultimately. But Mr. Cooke's role right now, he assists the Board of Selectmen.
You better watch out. You better not.
Mr. Cooke has already indicated he's not applying for the town manager job.
Right. So you're hopeful that you'll keep the job you have.
No, the budget doesn't include my position in it.
So you're out of here?
That I will be done probably around December 4th or whenever the town manager is hired.
Well, where are you going?
That is really a good question to which I don't have an answer right now. But my family.
Look what you guys did out there. All the good people were dumping them.
Well, can I tell you something awesome about Mr. Cooke that a lot of people don't know?
Well, they should have known it before. Look what they did to him.
He is
Shame
a
on
member
you.
of one of the most phenomenal classical choral groups in the country, I would say in the world, and it's called Voce. But tell a little bit about what Voce is, because it is awesome.
It's a professional choral group that's based in Hartford. We've had.
I can hear it now as I listen.
Well, there you have it.
Yes.
That can be done. But we've had some of the top choral composers in modern days come and work with us. Most recently, a man from England who wrote the music for the royal wedding of Prince William and his bride. He's coming back to do a CD with us next year, and we've got CDs that are heard internationally. At this
So
point.
you're going on tour.
Well,
That's my dream for him,
yes. Certainly part of my future will be to make sure that Voce gets the next.
Okay, so let's go back to Lisa's getting dumped, and you've got to find a replacement that is an unknown, that is going to be paid more than she was paid for doing an excellent job for us. And how's that going? What's the criteria? Is the job totally defined?
Not yet, no. As a matter of fact, there's a process that is going to involve residents and elected officials in terms of putting together the criteria that the town of Simsbury wants in a town manager. Understanding that you don't look forward to that process, the whole point is to make sure that we get as clear an idea as possible of what the criteria are going to be. We also, I think, a lot of people don't understand quite what's happened yet, and
I don't understand.
and this is an opportunity for people to find out more, and we're going to make sure that there's a lot of public involvement in the process.
Okay, so how many signatures does it take on a petition to overturn the vote?
Well, you can always call for a charter revision at some point, and
Because that's what we did, a charter revision.
Yeah.
Exactly, right.
Okay, so we could do another one that would do it back. Whoever comes in, I don't know. I mean, who would I interview now? I've been doing this for 30 years. It's always been the first selectman. First selectman now is a shadow.
Well, let me suggest you continue interviewing whoever's first select woman,
Why?
because they do maintain.
They don't have any power. They're like a Pony Express.
Well,
Everybody on the Board of Selectmen voted that.
One of the
Here,
things,
town
one of the
manager,
things
that's
your
what they
audience
voted.
should understand is that the town,
My audience, it's Lisa's
well,
audience.
one of the things Lisa's audience should understand is that the town manager is not there to set policy.
I know.
Right. Well, so that
But
is
neither is the first selectman.
No, the first select woman is, and in fact, is remains the primary. That's why those folks are elected. That's why
No,
people
but if
pick
the
them.
selectmen all vote against the first select thing,
right,
then
as it could happen today, right?
yeah, then the select
so that-
woman would have to say do what they
The
said.
goal here is to make sure that whoever is in the town manager role, and I speak basically based on what the Charter Revision Commission came up with, is to make sure that regardless of the policies that are being set, the town government is always professionally managed by people who understand labor relations, who understand finance, and one of the things that has been a blessing over the last few years is that we've had in Lisa Heavner a remarkable skill set. She's
I
been
totally
one of the-
agree.
Right.
I mean, she's really kind of nasty underneath it all. She's a slave driver, and she always seems so nice and friendly, but very, very effective. And she can really manipulate people, and those are the primary skills. So now, when
Ouch, Jerry.
she has, oh, that was a compliment.
Okay.
So now she has this staff, of isolated expertise. She communicates goals. They produce for her, a member of our community, with a broad perspective of professional input, and communicates back to them, well, we might have to do a trade-off here or there. Could I see something that looks like this? Da-dum, da-dum. Is that the role the town manager has? Or is the town manager just told by the Board of Selectmen, get this done?
So
So that person goes around and says, you do this and get it done now.
So the town manager serves at the pleasure of the Board of Selectmen.
Right.
And the Board of Selectmen will have...
How long is their contract?
So
For how
we
long
don't
is it?
know.
Don't know yet.
We don't know yet. It's
Day to
generally
day?
2 to 3 years.
Could it be
Sometimes it's at will.
Right.
We
It
don't know.
could be at will. That is all for the Board of Selectmen to decide.
Right.
And how much is this person going to get paid?
So we don't know. We budgeted for 160, which is typical when we did a salary comparison of what comparable town managers
What
are.
does the
But
superintendent get?
I don't know. A little more than that.
Yeah.
So, but the main difference is the first selectman used to be the CEO, right? And
Yeah.
chairman of the board. So the role
And I've
changes
seen,
from
let's see,
CEO to just chairman of the board.
1, 2, 3, 4, and one of those did another set of terms. Given there were different circumstances to manage each time, and they were very different personalities,
Yeah.
they all did an excellent job. I mean, that's how we built our rating up to what it is. So I am puzzled now in retrospect, learning that when they had the Charter Revision Committee, 2 of the former first selectmen suggested there be a town manager. I've asked this question before. Did they think they were the only ones who could do a good job of it?
I don't know. You'd have to reach out to them. But what I can
I
tell
don't
you,
think they'd appreciate that.
if that you talk
My
to them,
question would be, did you think you were better than anybody else and nobody could do the job?
What
as
they
long as
said to Charter Revision was that they felt that the job had gotten much more complicated over time. And that's and again, we in Lisa we have an unusually
How
high
do we
skill set.
end up rated so highly then if it's such a difficult job? It can't be done.
Jerry, look, both forms of government
Right.
work. You can have a first selectman form of government that works, and we've seen it work very well in Simsbury. And,
Yes,
I'm
we
proud
have.
of what we've accomplished. But I've
If
also
it's not
seen,
broken, don't
But
fix
I've
it.
also seen town manager form of government work. I mean, the role of the first selectman under a town manager form of government is really about communicating to the public and policy decisions. It's less
Who's
day-to-day.
doing the communicating?
So the first selectman would still do that.
So like a mouthpiece for the...
Well, it's important to share your voice, especially on regional issues at the state.
And you go back to the town manager and say, it's my impression, I spoke to this group of seniors and their feelings.
No, the town manager is, hopefully if you hire a good town manager, and we're all committed to doing that, they will be responsive, not only to the first selectman, but the board of selectmen.
Well, the person who used to have your job, I think he's now the town manager of
Avon.
Avon. Yeah. He was a good guy.
Sure.
Yeah.
And, Avon's running very well. Their town manager, Farmington's town manager. So
Oh, yeah, but it's an easier job there. They have a bigger tax base.
Look, I don't know how it's going to work. What I can tell you is that what the Board of Selectmen, even those who voted against it, are committed to making it the very best it can be. And then, if we, as a community, decide it's not working for us, you can always change
Who's
it.
going to run for that?
Well, I don't know.
I remember a prior first selectman saying, volunteering in this community is like putting a target on your back. So, always in an elected position, you're doing that.
Sure.
A target as big as the one that the first selectman has always carried is worth money. That takes a really capable person. And instead, now, what would you say the chief characteristic of the person is? That they can...
They're chairman of the board. They direct policy and they communicate
They don't
to the public,
direct.
advocate at the state.
They don't direct policy.
Sure they do.
No, you communicate objectives to the town manager that the Board of Selectmen, it's an up vote, it's a down vote. That person does that, and then the Board of Selectmen react to that to decide if they get to keep their contract. The first selectman, come on, for $10,000 a year, a town manager who earns...
It's $10,000 more than Scott Slifka made as mayor for years of West Hartford.
Yeah, that
And
was,
he worked a full-time job.
Yeah, but,
and
that was an ego
So there are a
thing.
lot of people out there who do this job as
As a commitment.
Right, and Lisa...
they must be independently wealthy.
You probably heard that Lisa was willing to take a significant pay cut in face of our current budget because, frankly, what's driving her is not the money, never has been.
No.
It's her love for the town of Simsbury.
Oh,
That's
so
what
she's going to
saying.
do this for $10,000. You're
No,
going to
no,
run
I-
for first
no, I have
election?
not made
Oh, I
any-
thought that's what he was
Say that.
saying. Yeah,
Yeah, but
that you
I-
were
I
willing
think-
to do it for peanuts.
No, what Tom is, I think, trying to say, and let me know if I'm putting words in
No.
your mouth, is that we have tons of people in this community that have a love for this community, are willing to put forth
Yeah.
themselves in
That's
service
exactly
to
right.
our community.
If the job is as you envision it, which is really like it was before, except it's not direct supervision of the professional staff, somebody do that for $10,000
I think
with
they
the
would have support.
capability?
Yes. I mean, it depends on who runs, but the public will get a chance to say, hey, this is what I'm looking for, this is what I'm not. I mean, look, we're going to have to come together as a community. This is what the community
Well,
does
it's not going to be somebody who needs the money, obviously.
Well, it's a part-time position. It becomes a part-time position. So you can hold another job.
Part-time?
Yeah.
Running around, talking to all these groups, being the mouth?
Mm-hmm.
How many functions do you go to? How many hours a week do you put in outside of your office?
I put in quite a bit. Yeah.
I know, and the next first selectman would be doing that also. Go to this banquet, go to that nonprofit thing, go here, go there. It's like, get a life.
I am going on vacation.
Good for you. I'm glad for you. So you're stuck with us till December, though, huh?
Yeah, and I'm happy to be because I love this community.
So who's going to run for first selectman?
So Mr. Mike Payne is announced, but we haven't announced on the Democratic side yet.
Okay.
So, and I think Mr. Kalishman is announced.
I'm sure. And Joan Coe, is she running?
She is not announced that I'm aware of.
Not so far, huh? Okay,
Yeah.
well, let's see. Who else? Oh, I can't say that one. Oh, well.
I mean, look, what I can tell you is I don't know who's going to win, but I like to think and I believe that anyone who puts their name, is willing to put their name on the ballot, is doing so because they care about this community. And, the public will have a chance to ask what their goals are, what they care about, and then make their decision accordingly.
I think it would be a very hard job to do because you would have so little influence, and yet you're doing it because you care so much.
Well, I think it depends on who you choose as the town manager. If you choose a town manager who doesn't listen to a board, you're right. But if you choose a town manager who views his role as a support to the board,
Is it going to be
or
a guy?
her,
Okay.
in service to the board, then I think it can be a very effective form of government.
And why
So-
would you decide not to run for first selectman?
My wife has taken a job in Waterford, so we're moving down there. Otherwise, I've had a wonderful time working for Simsbury, and I would have considered
Oh,
this.
get real. Come on, we got some real pains in the butt
Oh,
coming
we
in
have
here
some awesome
complaining.
people. We have some super awesome people in
I
this
know
town.
we do. Most of them are.
Yes.
And we've
But-
enjoyed, in recent times, that working with the Board of Selectmen has been a real pleasure.
I would agree, and I attribute a whole lot of that
Sure.
to you. You have been able to foster a sense of cooperation. Well, of course, the big brouhaha probably slapped people into the sense also of, hey, we're looking pretty bad. When they reduced Mary's salary, boom, like that.
But they really, I will say we do have a very functioning, cohesive board right now.
I think so, yeah, and I think a whole lot of that is due to you. So I thank you for that.
Thank you.
We're running out of time.
Good to see you.
Keep your voice.
We'll do that.
Well, you'll still be with the group even though you're living out
Absolutely,
that way?
yes.
Okay, that's
If you get a
good.
chance, he's on NPR sometimes. They're that good.
Is that voice? Oh.
Yes.
If you listen to John Nowacki on NPR, you will hear he plays Voces.
If you listen to John Nowacki on NPR,
That's the way.
Wacky John.
No, but it really is phenomenal music. So if you get a chance,
Okay,
go
well-
to their website.
Yeah, well, do something on LCTV. Have
we
them
should.
come in and
Absolutely.
do
We,
a concert.
we've done-
as your goodbye thing.
We've done concerts out at St. Albans every Christmas, and I know they may very well have played some clips of ours on SCTV.
St. Albans, isn't that Catholic?
No, that's at the Episcopal Church up on
Bushy Hill.
we can never tell with you, Jerry.
Okay, Lisa, thank you very much. You're so tolerant. We got you going today, though. That's good. And I hope all of you enjoyed the show. And unless Lisa reneges, we'll see you again next month on State of the Town.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.